Fewer 141 members of parliament suspended from both houses is a very troubling milestone in our democracy, no matter which side of the political divide you stand. No amount of ifs or buts justifies this ugly impasse that will now colour the entire road to the 2024 election. In a furious political environment where the rules of engagement appear to allow just about anything, the acrimony and hostility between the government and opposition has reached the kind of low even we in media are surprised by, and believe me, there isn't a lot that surprises us journalists. But something happened today that confirms suspicions of cynics that the revolt by the opposition has gone beyond a principled protest over the parliament security breach. Because amidst this angry exchange, at a time when principled indignation should have been the dominant visible emotion, the suspended opposition handed their critics the juiciest way to debunk and question their seriousness. It was this video, which you've probably all seen by now. That's Trinamool MP Kalyan Banerjee play acting and mimicking Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar, while a gleeful audience, including Congress MP Rahul Gandhi, whips out his mobile phone to record amidst loud laughs and applause. First of all, Kalyan Banerjee's imitation, uncanny. Objectively, if he's ever tired of being an MP, he definitely has prospects in theatre, and I mean that as a lover of the arts, and I mean that very sincerely. But what did this actually achieve, to talk about more serious things? If social media is any barometer of sentiment, there's almost universal jeering at these jolly theatrics on the steps outside Parliament. Even supporters of the Congress and its allies have said this doesn't sit well in a hypersensitive narrative battle where image is more than just anything. It has landed and handed the BJP a full toss to paint the suspended brigade as unserious, devious, conniving, picnickers, and worst of all, that all the anger and rage they display over the suspension issue is just a facade, because here they are on camera sitting and giggling and laughing and applauding each other. In some minds, it's having the same effect as Rahul Gandhi's famous hug and wink episode had in 2018, where the seriousness of Rahul Gandhi's gesture was totally derailed by the wink that came after. Personally, none of this should matter. Let me say that categorically. Narrative shouldn't be everything. MPs should be allowed to express themselves exactly how they want to, and comedy is a form of protest. That's their choice, and the political import of such clips can be debated endlessly. But if there's one thing this political nation has proven over decades, it is the power of images and perception. Once the laughs and claps and mimicry subside, there's still the issue of the mass suspension. Yes, there are rules. Yes, there are norms. Yes, there are protocols. But I would like to categorically say, viewer, that suspending MPs is the wrong thing to do. Let me repeat that. It's the wrong thing to do. Maybe someone who isn't in politics like me cannot fully appreciate the importance of protocols and rules, especially in a place like Parliament. But in my mind, a surcharged, angry atmosphere of the kind we are now seeing is an opportunity for new rules of engagement. For how long will rules be invoked to suspend MPs? For how long will there be tutu meme over past dispensations that have also suspended MPs, for instance, under Rajiv Gandhi in the 80s? In my world, the disruptions in Parliament would be permitted. That may be a controversial thing to say for those who love rules, but let me repeat it. In my world, disruptions would be permitted. Let citizens watch. Millions of citizens are watching what happens in Parliament. I firmly believe that the spotlight on parliamentarians inside the House is precisely what will temper the intensity and longevity of disruptions, and perhaps even, hopefully, fingers crossed, engender new protocol-friendly forms of protest. I mean seriously, viewer, how long can violent placard waving and suspensions really go on for? The impulse, in my view, must be for dialogue and not for the robotic imposition of rules and protocol. In a shape-shifting political dynamic this close to elections, where animosities are so red-blooded, it is time for a new way of doing things. For both the government and the opposition, being on the warpath is par for the course. Everyone knows that. But let both sides remember that the people are watching. Well, it is undoubtedly the dominant story of the day. These were the dominant images from earlier today outside Parliament. And meanwhile, right now, the India Alliance is holding a crucial, many say, make or break meeting. But to begin with, huge furor over the suspension of opposition MPs, totally justified. The India bloc's strength in Parliament has dwindled further as more MPs, a record number, was suspended earlier today for unruly behavior and disregarding the directions of the chair. A total of 141. That's a staggering number, way higher than anything that has happened in the past. A total of 141 opposition MPs have been suspended so far. 46 MPs have been suspended from the Rajya Sabha and 95 opposition MPs have been suspended from the Lok Sabha. Take a look at everything you need to know about the story so far.
But to mechanically suspend all of us, I guess that's the aim of the government, is to have an opposition-less parliament.
ये कौन सी परिभाषा में सरकार से सवाल पूछना संसद की मर्यादा भंग होती है?
It's clear they want an opposition-मुक्त लोकसभा.
क्या सोच के ये नया संसद बनाया जे इसको लोकतंत्र का कब्रिस्तान बनाना है?
Mass suspensions of opposition MPs galvanize anti-BJP parties. On Tuesday, 49 members of parliament from the opposition ranks faced suspension. A record 141 in this winter session alone. 95 MPs suspended from the Lok Sabha and 46 from the Rajya Sabha so far. The lawmakers demanded a statement from Home Minister Amidst regarding last week's security breach. Their suspension attributed to alleged disruption of House proceedings. The opposition MPs held protest, chanting slogans and displaying placards against the Modi government.
Modi Sarkar, down, down! Mr. Rai, you are a lawyer. I am a You are a lawyer, I am a
Filmed by Rahul Gandhi and other opposition MPs, a suspended TMC MP mimicked Rajya Sabha Chair Jagdeep Dhankhar in a mock session outside.
My spine is so straight.
The BJP responded swiftly. Labeling the act reckless and criticizing Rahul Gandhi for recording it, the Vice President and the Rajya Sabha Chair, Jagdeep Dhankhar, deemed it ridiculous and unacceptable. The recent wave of suspensions was triggered by a vocal opposition demanding the Home Minister's statement on last week's intrusion. Some MPs carried placards including a morphed picture of the Prime Minister.
मेरा आग्रह है आपसे कि आप चर्चा करें, संवाद करें। ये तख्तियां लेकर सदन में मर्यादित आचरण नहीं है। ये क्या उचित है सदन में कि आसन तक नजदीक आप आ जाएं, आसन के ऊपर तक चल जाएं?
Stepping out, the suspended MPs, joined by their colleagues, continued their protest on the Parliament compound. Hostilities between the ruling and the opposition camps escalate sharply ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Bureau Report, India Today.
Paulami Saha, who's had a ringside view of one of the most dramatic parliament sessions India has ever seen since independence, is live with me. Paulami, the kind of record, the kind of landmark nobody would have hoped to ever see. But you were right there, capturing all of this. It's a video that you shot that went viral, which has become the most visible image of the day today as well, of Kalyan Banerjee and all of the MPs outside Parliament. But the question now is, what happens next? The 141 MPs suspended. It's almost an opposition mukt parliament, Poulomi. 3 days left in this session. What's going to happen?
Well, unlikely this logjam will be broken. We saw that the government has, pushed through with its legislative agenda. 3 bills have been passed since, of course, the suspension of the 49 members of parliament from the Lok Sabha today. The 3 very crucial criminal law amendment bills have been taken up for consideration and passage as well. Ahead of this, in fact, Home Minister Amit Shah had met with the Speaker Om Birla alongside Prahlad Joshi and Piyush Goyal in order to see if there was any way to break this impasse. We'd been told that Amit Shah was keen that there was a robust debate as far as these 3 bills were concerned, especially because he had chosen to send these bills to the Standing Committee on Home Affairs in the first instance. Very rarely, that the government has done this in the past. He did realize that these are, historic bills. They'll change the face of the IPC, CRPC and Evidence Act. And hence, there should be a robust analysis of these bills. Several amendments have been made, changes have been made based on those standing committee recommendations. But today, unfortunately, the situation is such that there aren't any opposition MPs or enough opposition MPs in the Lok Sabha waiting to debate this bill. 15 hours have been allotted for the discussion of these 3 bills. Unlikely that, as much time will be spent. So over the next 3 days of the remainder part of the winter session of Parliament, we don't see any sort of breakthrough as far as this long jab is concerned.
Definitely not good news. Poulomi, continue to stay with me. Let me just paint our viewers a picture of what the Lok Sabha actually looks like in light of what has just happened. Now, the Lok Sabha usually has 543 seats. 21 are currently vacant because many MPs have resigned after taking up their new work as MLAs in different states. That's one of the reasons, which means there are 522 occupied seats in the Lok Sabha at this point of time. The BJP-led NDA has 305 MPs. The opposition MPs are 136 and the others are 66. The suspended opposition MPs number 95, which means the number of remaining opposition MPs in the Lok Sabha is a measly 41. 41 opposition MPs left in the Lok Sabha, which means that the India Alliance has in effect lost 1/3 of its Member of Parliament strength inside Parliament at this point of time. Next, let's show you what's happening in the upper house, the House of States. The Rajya Sabha has a total of 245 MPs. The BJP-led NDA has 105. The opposition has 90 MPs. Others, 36. Now, opposition MPs suspended, 46. Remaining opposition MPs in Rajya Sabha basically down by 50% to just 44. So down by 1/3 in the Lok Sabha and down by 50% in the Rajya Sabha. Poulomi, a quick clarification to you. No breakthrough, possible at this point of time. Is there even an attempt to kind of talk? Is there any outreach or a back channel going on between the two sides? Or is it completely frosty right now?
It seems and appears completely frosty. There were letters that were written. Adhiranjan Chaudhary had spoken with the Speaker. This is at the first instance when 14 members of Parliament had been suspended. Mallikarjun Kharge at that point of time also, in fact, wrote in favor of Derek O'Brien's suspension being revoked from the Rajya Sabha when he was the lone member of Parliament from the Rajya Sabha who had been, in fact, removed. And then, of course, today Sharad Pawar wrote to the Rajya Sabha chairman as well, asking him to review and address the matter of the suspension of MPs. And then, of course, 49 MPs from the Lok Sabha were suspended again today. So, given that certain moves have been made by some of the tallest leaders of these parties to reach out to the Speaker and the chairman, but, the suspensions only continue to grow in numbers. It seems like it doesn't seem likely that over the next 3 days we'll see any sort of breakthrough as far as these relations are concerned.
Okay, Poulomi, thanks for putting that into perspective for us. It's a story in motion, but that's the clarity. No breakthrough likely at this point of time and only 3 days left in Parliament. Well, amidst this entire session, Prime Minister Modi launched a rare attack on the opposition parties while Parliament is in session over these protests that are taking place. The Prime Minister alleges that the opposition parties were rattled by the recent Assembly election losses and were disrupting Parliament in frustration.
आप बोलना चाहते हैं? जोशी जी,
जिन लोगों ने ऐसे माफ करके माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का फोटो लाया है, ये बहुत ही खंडनार्ह है सर। आई स्ट्रांगली कंडेम दिस। जिन लोगों को जनता ने अभी जो चुनाव हुआ, इसमें इनका जो स्थिति क्या है उनको पता चल गया है। इनको जनता ने पूरा सबक सिखाया है। ये तो हारने का जो डेस्परेशन है, ऐसे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का, मोदी जी का ये फोटो मार्क करके ऐसे अपमान कर रहे हैं। लोग इसको सबक सिखाया है। जो लोग हारे हैं चुनाव में, जो बुरी तरह से हार गए हैं, वो लोग ऐसे व्यवहार कर रहे हैं। ये जो जनता ने, भारत के जनता ने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का नेतृत्व को स्वीकारा है। ऐसे व्यवहार करने से अभी जो इधर उधर चुन के आ रहा है 2-3 राज्य में, उस राज्यों से भी इन लोगों को लोग फेंक देते हैं सर। ये जो कर रहे हैं, ऐसे जो मार फोटो ला रहा है, ये तो मैं पूरा खंडन करता हूँ। पूरा सदन इसको खंडन करते हैं सर। तो और मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ, जो ऐसे फोटो लाया है उन लोगों से कार्रवाई।
The crucial India Alliance meeting is currently underway at the Ashok Hotel in Delhi. All of the top opposition leaders are meeting. That meeting has been on for over 1 hour now. Remember, seat sharing between the India Alliance partners is the priority agenda item, and all eyes are going to be on this meeting to see whether there are any concrete takeaways. There has been criticism from within the India Alliance over meetings not having taken any key decisions required to be battle ready for 2024. Let's get some perspective from the ground. India Today's Rajdeep Sardesai, who leads our amazing political team on the ground. Also with us is Amit Bhardwaj, who's outside the Ashoka Hotel. Rajdeep, quickly coming to you first. Are we expecting to see some, definite decisions taken today, including some kind of clarity on seat sharing or a convener or anything like that? Something that is a big step forward, as it were, for the alliance.
Well, I think the one step forward likely, Shiv, is the seat sharing plan. The very fact that the Congress has now announced a 5-member team, including two former Chief Ministers, Bhupesh Baghel and Ashok Gehlot, clearly suggests that seat sharing discussions, we are told, will begin in right earnest almost straight away. So the possibility of a seat sharing timetable being announced is perhaps the most likely outcome of this meeting. There have been question marks over whether a convener should be appointed, but opinion is divided on that issue. The Congress in particular, Shiv, doesn't appear too willing to have a specific convener from one of the regional parties, someone like a Nitish Kumar, because that would reduce their authority within this alliance. So whether they actually bite the bullet and appoint a convener, as some of the regional parties like the Shiv Sena are keen on, is uncertain. So it appears again incremental step-by-step approach, where at best what seems likely is a seat sharing discussion plan being unveiled by this India Alliance.
Rajdeep, I was very keen to get your perspective also on the fact that, time is, of course, very, very short. We've seen some frictions from within the alliance, including from the JDU and the Sena. But this mass suspension of MPs, do you see this becoming something of a consolidating factor, something that could kind of blur these differences and be a rallying point for the alliance?
To an extent, yes. There's little doubt that the manner in which these suspensions have taken place across party lines will bring the opposition together and suggest that the existential crisis that some of them fear they will face should they lose May 24 will become even more acute in their minds, and therefore a sense of having to come together will be perhaps more urgent. There is also the possibility that a few leaders like Arvind Kejriwal, who've been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate, find themselves in the eyes of the ED scanner, and they too may be pushing therefore for the alliance to take some firm steps at consolidation.
Rajdeep, appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining me with your inputs and views on this developing story, the big political story of the day.